Welcome to Expedient Means of Lin Wei on Time Monk Radio. Lin currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guizhen Philo-Cultural Society. He has extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lin, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight, Lin will be speaking about sincerity in practice. Welcome back, Lin.
Hola.
So sincerity in practice,
Yeah.
that means we actually have to be sincere in what we do. We can't just sit there and think about baseball or whatever. We gotta actually put some thought and some intention behind it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like sitting in front of the TV watching a good movie while you're doing standing practice, you know? It's like I stood for an hour and 20 minutes.
Don't laugh because I've heard a lot of people do that.
I'm going to laugh anyway.
I mean, that might develop leg muscle strength maybe, but I'm not sure how much.
No, because to really get something, you have to stop the internal dialogue. You have to stop the grasping with the eyes and the ears and the senses, and it stops through applying inward your focus.
Yeah,
so when we're sitting
superficial.
there, you'll get strong legs, and if you have good focus and good concentration, even the distraction can be a help. It can help temper your focus and strengthen it if you have that kind of will. I mean, I have a Tai Chi brother who would stand while watching TV all day long, and I didn't know him to start laughing, or getting emotionally taken by what he was watching. And he would stand, and when we would do push hands, he would just tap me in the chest, and I would go flying 4 feet across the room into the wall without my feet touching the floor. He would do it constantly back, in 2002, 2001, 2002. And I said, "What do you do?" "I stand all day long." I go, "Oh, okay." And sometimes he would watch TV, sometimes he wouldn't, but he had the conditions to stand there all day long and practice. So he had something going for him at that point.
And even if the TV is going, I mean, theoretically, you could use that as an expedient because you could use that to strengthen your concentration by not focusing on it, right?
Sure, if the person's concentration ability and focus is very strong. But I would suggest someone who wants to start practicing Qigong to put on the Cartoon Network and start watching cartoons while they're standing and watching Dragon Ball Z. I'm practicing Qigong, watching Dragon Ball Z.
The best way to do it is to put on like Billy Graham or something.
Yeah,
really distracting.
Oh, man. Funny, but sincerity in practice is manyfold, but we'll talk a few. Consistency. Constantly doing the practice at the same time every single day without missing a beat, whether you're starving, thirsty, having a headache, or sick, or whatever the case is, you're still doing your practice. Consistent practice.
What if you have a broken leg and you can't stand and you want to do standing practice?
If both legs are broken, well, you do sitting practice. If one leg is broken, you can do hardcore and go hardcore and stand on one leg with one crutch. Right. I've sprained my ankle many, many times as a teenager, and I would try to find the right position to maintain standing so it doesn't cause so much pain and swelling, and swelling gone down, and the ankle healed up pretty well. I mean, if I just sat there and lifted my leg up for like a week or so, it was a week I wasted.
So, all right, that having been said, maybe we should start it from the opposite end of the spectrum. What are the things that prevent us from having sincerity and dedication in our practice?
Our idea is that emotions and lust and our senses are king or queen. Okay, we don't want to be taken by these things. So things that prevent us from actually applying a deep sincerity in our practice, not meaning sincerity in the aspect of I want to practice, I must practice, I'm a very hardcore cultivator or whatever. Not this kind of idea. I'm talking about actually getting somewhere with your practice. That's sincere. That's called sincerity here. You're resolved to do something, and the actual getting it done, that's sincerity.
Hmm. So, I mean, I guess in our modern world, there are just so many distractions. You know what I mean? Like it. Again, I'll bring this story up, and I've told it a couple times, but it's been said that in the ancient days it was hard to get the practices, but once you got the practices, they're relatively easy to do. Whereas in our modern age, the practices are easy to acquire, but because of our modern society, quite hard to do. And
Yes, the information age is upon us, obviously, and whatever we want, we can find it. From the most commercial, well-known practices to the not so well-known, hidden, quote-unquote, hidden practices. So it is difficult to practice now with our stimulation, our sensual simulations running abound everywhere, boundless. Very difficult to get ahead and apply this sincerity I'm talking about.
is that why in some of these schools they have vows or what
Mm.
have you? Um, is that just to instill the sincerity or to make one feel guilty if they don't practice?
It works on both ends in that idea. We have these vows in our practice because our mind is like an unbridled horse, running all over the place in emotion, or you call it the monkey mind if you would like to use that kind of term. It's everywhere. So the vows, what they do is kind of like put these horse glasses or horse goggles on you and only allow you to see what's in front of you. And it can become very boring and very frustrating. And that's the point. Eventually, that frustration wears down, the boredom goes away, and you are doing or seeing or going directly at what you see. Um, Similar to the analogy of throw a stick at a lion, the lion doesn't chase the stick, it looks at the thrower. We want to do that. You want to look right back at what's going on. So, if you can imagine this, you're standing there at the lion, lion's in front of you, and you take this big stick, and you're going, "Hey, look, stick, go get it!" And the thing just keeps looking at you with that sarcastic face on. What's wrong with you? I'm gonna eat you. you know, and we
So,
want to attack our practice with that kind of sincerity. So the vows, they keep us from running amok and letting our mind and our senses run amok. Uh, that's what vows do.
so what are some of the vows, and are they taken by left home practitioners only?
Well, the left home practitioners and at home practitioners do have vows. The vows can be specific ones that are there within a specific school of practice, such as the five precepts in Buddhist practice. You can make vows for yourself, and the vows basically point you to attain a specific goal. So if you're a smoker and you're like, well, cultivation and smoking aren't really great because it hurts the body. And when I'm sitting there in meditation or standing, I'll start getting the urge for cigarettes, and that breaks my concentration. So I vow that I will no longer smoke, or by not smoking, I will have attained a specific state of stillness to allow me to apply myself deeper in my practice. And you understand that doing this vow or getting it done doesn't mean the end result has arisen. It means you go through the process to attaining the end result. The process itself is what strengthens your ability to actually attain. So the vow leaves you with that kind of, or any kind of promise you make to yourself, leaves you with that kind of method or that kind of mechanism.
So what are some of the vows that the at home practitioners would generally take?
Well, depending on what school they come from, I'm familiar more with the Buddhist school. So if we go into the not killing, it's basically watching when you're stepping so you don't step on ants, but it doesn't mean you got to look really closely at the ground every time you're stepping. It just means you're purposely doing this where if you see something at the corner of your eye on the ground, you watch your step. It could be a bug, it could be a piece of crap. you know, excuse me. It could be anything you don't want to step on. It could even be a dead body. You don't want to step on that either. It could be a rat or a bird or something. You don't know. So you just are mindful of what you're doing. So these vows will really point to mindfulness. Another one is taking intoxicants, not to take intoxicants. And there's reasons for these specific vows. So not taking intoxicants means that your mind stays clear and focused. You're mindful of what you do. There's nothing that is taking your concentration or taking your senses into various angles to cause delusion or to cause more false thinking.
Are there times when it's would be considered okay or acceptable to break your own vows?
Well, I mean, okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, if somebody's about to kill you or somebody's about to murder, people with a gun, and you had a gun, would it be okay to kill them, even although you took a vow not to kill?
You would have to see the conditions of the situation. It's not just that plain where someone pulls out a gun and you pull out one faster and they're about to kill people, so you shoot them. I mean, you can shoot him in the arm, so he can't pull the trigger. You can shoot him in the knee. You don't have to shoot to kill, Or it could be situations where, out of the heat of the moment and the whole adrenaline rush and the craziness and speed of what's happening, you just pull the trigger, and the person is dead, because that was just what was happening. Now, there is no mercy karma, and there is no mercy in any of this what comes around goes around, or the cause and effect situations of things, but there is an understanding energetically, and it does not mean that the energy has to understand anything. It just goes that this specific person who has been killed is no longer able to go out and kill other people. Though you have created a situation, you have inflicted violence and forcefully made this person end their life, there was a recognition that other people are no longer in that type of conscious state of fear. So their appreciation, their praise, okay, and their goodness in accepting what you have done, okay, even though that weighs heavy on your heart that you have stopped someone from living forcefully, okay, can alter, can transform the killing karma to a lesser degree or a lesser vibration of that kind of outcome that leads from killing. It's very complex when we talk into this aspect, but there is no mercy killing. There's no mercy karma, I mean.
Right. I just like to make you squirm sometimes.
Yeah. It's so funny. So
Okay,
vows, okay, situations that cause us to break our vows. Instead of going to the killing route, make it very, dark and creepy. There's some who take the vow of not taking intoxicants and don't drink. But when they're in a situation where their job depends on them having a drink with some customers, if that's what the culture of the customer, or the quote unquote soon to be partner or whatever the case is if that's their culture and their mannerism, and they will not do business with you, therefore you will not be able to make the specific amount of money to meet your bills so you can pay for the mortgage and give a place for your kids and your family to have, and you don't have any means or capacity to change your job or whatever the case is at all, then doing that, breaking the precept, is done in a manner for helping other people maintain their life. So you sacrifice the actual goodness of keeping your precept. You take a negative karma. You take a negative outcome, which is intoxicating the body. But if your mind can maintain its clarity, and it's not done where there is enjoyment in the drinking and the grasping for the alcohol, then it's not going to have that negative type of karma of breaking the precept, only because in truth the heart and the mind are so sincere about keeping the precept. The person knows in their heart that they are not comfortable with this. It's not just, oh, I'm not comfortable, but I'm going to do it because it's going to make me money, so that's okay. That's going the wrong way. There's no merit in that. There has to be an extremely sincere mannerism of regret, and it has to come naturally. You cannot make this happen. It will just be that way if there is true sincerity in the practitioner and the cultivator who has taken the specific vow.
So
and it's not a loophole. This is not a loophole. I'm not telling everyone to cultivate this and so they can go and do whatever they want and be sincere later on. No. Don't do that. That's wrong. So me telling you the method already X's out the actual use of the method. You're not going to gain anything from it. All it is there is this understanding you have no other way unless you leave the situation. Therefore, you leave a mannerism where you cannot fend or cannot supply the family with that which is needed to maintain their lifestyle and maintain their food and clothing and shelter. Because if it all depends on you, then that's what you do to make sure everyone's happy or everyone is safe. So there's a sacrifice going on.
So if somebody knew that they were weak-willed, would they, and odds are they probably weren't going to be able to comply with the vows anyway, would they be better off not taking the vows at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
straight up yes. There's a saying that says at the at the gates of hell there are more monks of any type of tradition than there are lay people. Because you take your vow and you break your vow. It's not that, oh well, the monks don't go out and drink, and some monks take a vow of no drinking, and then, well, they don't drink. How are they breaking the precept? Well, maybe they didn't break the precept of drinking by actually drinking, but they've urged for it in their mind and daydreamed about it in their mind all the time, or to a certain amount where the actual thinking had created the condition for them to have broken the vow. You see, body,
Well,
mouth, and mind are needed in cultivation.
yeah, and some practices I don't even know if I should bring it up because it'll probably just create false thinking. But I've read that at some stages of their development, certain monks or whatever reach a point where they become what's called a bhikkhu, where they can basically, essentially, I guess they can supposedly break their vows without repercussions.
I haven't heard of that. It could be true or not, but I haven't heard of it. When you said the word "beagle," it reminded me of the one who can take in nutrition from the air and not have to eat.
Oh, breatharian, I think.
Something like that. Anywho, you take a vow and it's broken. Um, there's a problem. Unless you're a Buddha or a Bodhisattva who utilizes, or a person at such a high level of cultivation in this aspect, who is utilizing the method or utilizing the condition as an expedient for teaching other people, then there can be merit in that. But one should not go around and say, well, I'm going to light up a joint just because my friends are lighting up joints and I can get them to not light up joints if I light up with them. Yeah, if it works, like the first or second time. But if it's not working at all, don't do that ever again. You have to see the outcome of what you do. For example, many moons ago, I've taken vow not to drink. Okay, then yet being out in China with the way culture is, societal culture, when you're meeting people, especially officials or whatnot, or business people, their culture is you drink with them, because if you don't drink with them, there is not that feeling of connection with you. They do not believe you. They don't see you as a friend. You're still considered as an outsider. Now it's changing because they're realizing the Western mannerisms of business and networking don't revolve around how much you can drink with the person, but revolve on what you can actually give and offer to the company, okay, or to the person itself. So this culture of wine is phasing out when it comes to Western influence and Western people working in China to a degree. But when I have met with people many moons ago, many years ago, and even up to this day, sometimes they're like specifically coming out to see you and talk with you about certain projects you would like to do, or they would want you to do with them. Having a few glasses of wine with them is the make or break point. It's more like, if you're not drinking with them, it's totally slap in the face, and this specific door will be closed for God knows how long, as long as you're in this specific area. So if I'm going to use it as an expedient to help them stop drinking, it's never going to happen because I'm not friends with them daily. I don't call them up and see how they're doing. I don't go over to their house and see their family. So I don't have that great of an influence with them. But for those people who do, after the first or second time of meeting them and having dinner and with dinner drinking a few glasses of wine with them, okay, it comes to an understanding where when they call me out, it's just either having tea, or they come to my house and we're just talking over tea, or we're having a regular friendly discussion over dinner or lunch or something like that. So that expedient worked because the affinities with those people are stronger. But overall, when I had broken that precept of no intoxicating, not intoxication of alcohol, it was specifically because I'm in this place and there are things that are going to be done, and I personally don't take delight in having drinks with people, that I do it so I can become closer to them, and hopefully probably have the opportunity to speak on other things that they would never even bother thinking about. And it usually goes to that direction almost all the time I have dinner with people. So for me, that method works, but it doesn't happen all the time, thankfully. I don't like
Yeah,
doing it.
and again, your intentions are sort of benevolent, right? Because
That's just for me, and it took practice because you sit there and you cannot be drunk, and they don't drink like 2 or 3 glasses. We're talking about they're bringing 3 or 4 bottles, and you
yeah,
have about 6, 7 people, and you're doing shots, and you're going around the table, taking cheers with everybody. You're like cheers, 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 every single person, and that's just drives you crazy. So some things you really have to have the right direction and the right concentration for. And other vows, well, just understand that they're there to keep your mind focused on what you're doing, so you don't go into the place of attachment to the things that usually have taken you off your concentration seat, off the seat of stillness, or the seat of being not moved.
okay. Let's take a look at maybe faith, because some practices, say you had a devotional practice to like Guanyin Bodhisattva, and the practice says you pray, you say this sutra, recite it 3 times. Now, if you don't really believe in Guanyin Bodhisattva, but you still repeat the sutra, it would seem to me like it's empty practice.
On one hand, it would be like that. On the other hand, is that you're nourishing the seeds for further realization of this specific being and the method involved. You see, when it comes to the Buddhist cultivation, none of the Buddhas want you to sit there and waste your time. Oh, you're the best, Amitabha. You're the best, Guanyin. I love you. You're wonderful. Praise to you. Praise to you. Praise to you. They don't want you to waste your time all day long. But because they see that human beings or living beings have the specific tendency to put anything more, quote unquote, seen as powerful than them on a pedestal, then the devotional method is utilized so they don't go out and do other things. It's better than wasting your time watching TV all day, or going out robbing a bank, or going out getting addicted to drugs or some other type of substance, or doing other things that are mainly not beneficial for you to raise your consciousness. So they say, okay, here's a devotional method for you. Okay, better this than go out and hurting other people or yourself or whatever. So that's the only thing you have the capacity to understand. That's what I'm going to give you, and I'll give you a developmental method for it.
Okay.
So, faith in practice, general faith in practice, is not so much a faith in the being you're focusing on, but more in the faith of the actual method being the right method for you. You cannot say, oh, I got a pencil. I don't believe this pencil is going to write. So you start writing your name anyway. This pencil is crap. This isn't working. This isn't writing right. Blah, 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 blah. This pencil is no good. I don't believe it's writing anything at all. And you have like 500 words on the page already. No, it's understanding that the method you're using is the actual method that's proper for you. Then you can actually have faith stating that this method is good. This method will get you to where you have to go. Sometimes people will see something and say, well, I don't know where this method's going to take me, but I'm going to try it anyway. I believe in it strongly because it comes from the Buddha, well, in this case, or it comes from Jesus' practice, or it comes from any other being's practice. So just because they're good at what they do and they've been praised and they're very wonderful beings, I'm going to believe in it. Okay, people will call that blind faith. But you can only actually have an acceptance of someone's teachings if you have a connection to it, if you have an affinity to believe in it, an affinity to have that in your life. So a blind faith actually is just a cop-out for not understanding where your affinity arose from, where the seed come from.
So how do you understand that?
That's why investigation of the mind is extremely important. That's why practices that teach you to go into the mind, to understand your attachments, your views, your notions, your emotions, and thoughts about things are, where they come from, is very, very, very important. That should be the foundational practice and carry throughout the rest of one's lifetime. No matter what method they're doing, that should be the overall thing that they have going for them all day long. Why do they react a certain way to something? See, this is practice. Everything you do can be made as a method for practice, as long as you're totally involved in this specific method, or in any
Right.
of the specific methods. So you can have faith in other beings outside power, or you can have faith in inside power. Understand that out and in are just a method of focusing the mind to a specific thing. In truth, out and in don't exist.
I guess that this sort of leads us to consistency of practice,
Mm.
and why that is important.
Right. Well, if you believe the method, then you would want to use the method. If you don't believe the method, you'll be lax about it. Or if you have a lazy tendency, and then utilizing the method and putting yourself to do it all the time, which is consistent practice, would lead you to strengthen your ability in practice itself.
So yeah, and again, that would be like even if you're sick, you get up out of bed and you do your sitting and whatever, right?
Mm. Well, for me, recently, because the air quality in China is just horrendous. Um, well, I have the karma to live out here, so I'm affected by it anyway. We had one beautiful day of clean, pristine air, and that started getting the recovery in motion where all this pollution and disgustingness started coming out. So I was stuck in bed all day one day, literally just didn't want to do anything and coughing, all this disgusting stuff coming out. So um, while sitting in bed, uh, doing contemplative practices, doing sitting practices, you know, though you feel like, you have tons of mountains covering your body and you feel like you're being squashed and feeling pain and uncomfortableness, that's okay too. That's good to temper you. If you can sit up, you try to sit up. If you can only do lying practice, you do lying practice. And if you can't breathe out your nose and breathing in through your mouth makes you want to cough, you do it slowly so you can have some type of air passage through your nose and the nasal cavities can clear up so you can breathe. So you learn how to control your breath a little better. So there's so many ways that you can apply focus and concentration, no matter what it is that you're facing.
And sometimes I guess it's like you said, it's you can only do the best you can do under whatever circumstances you're in at a given time, right?
Right. And then if you want to do even better, but you find that you cannot get past a specific stage of, like you feel like you're being stuck, you just go further in that. You just keep applying yourself. You don't lax. If you're only going an hour and you're like, I'm not going there, give yourself an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. Just throw an extra 10 minutes every day
It's like
or
you're
every week.
battering a door down. You just keep ramming it, and eventually it's going to cave in, right?
Exactly. You got to dent it and dent it and dent it. It's not like you're going to knock the thing down in one shot. People
Mm.
have this idea that when they get a method for cultivation, that because they start getting sensations here and there right away, that they're getting somewhere quick. They're not getting anywhere fast. They're getting nowhere fast. And because those sensational states and the feelings of comfort and all that, those are basic. I just got to the doorway states. You haven't even put your hand on the doorknob. You haven't even turned the knob and opened the door, let alone get in the door and sit there and be smothered by this wonderful light. It's just it's just stepping and getting closer and closer to the path of that door.
And if you see somebody that things seem to come too easily, odds are I'm assuming that they've probably had consistency and whatnot
Yes.
for multiple incarnations.
Yes, yes, yes. These things carry over as long as they've been done lifetime, not just lifetime after lifetime, but kind of maybe many lifetimes over periods of lifetimes. There were several lifetimes that a person was cultivating, and all of a sudden that momentum gets thrust to a strong force, and then all of a sudden they have a few lifetimes of consistent practice or having it around them. Okay,
Mm.
or maybe they're practicing without even realizing they're practicing because they're living a life that fits within that specific sphere of lifestyle.
So what are some of the left home vows that are a little more serious?
Oh, well, for men, one would say one would not take up a girlfriend while they're with somebody already. One will not masturbate. One will not look at pornographic films, videos, pictures. One will not listen to pornographic music and videos as well. It doesn't mean they have to shy away from the video or cover their ears and scream, "Oh, I'm not going to hear that," or stuff like that. All it means is that you are not putting yourself purposely in the road or in the highway in full on traffic of these specific stimulants. So that's what these vows as a left home person does, whether it's for lust, sexual desire, then you have them for greed, anger, and ignorance. Okay, then you have them for self gratification, whatever that can be, goes right into sexual desire, or it can go right into things you want to buy. You have an incessant desire to go shopping. And you must buy shoes, or you must buy clothes, or hats, or scarves, or gloves, or whatever people are into these days. Cell phones. It could be anything that you find becomes an outflow for you, which means something that takes you away from you. It takes your energy away.
Okay? Well, one of the things that always I found troubling was that I had heard that some of these monastic orders actually have sort of institutionalized homosexuality, which strikes me as very strange, given what. Not so much that the homosexuality thing, not on that level, but just on the level that they're engaging in these sexual practices and lustful behavior.
It doesn't matter if it's man or woman. It's still sexual desire, still sexual gratification. So they are screwing their vows over. Literally.
Pun intended.
You're like, I'm going to save this little boy from the sea of suffering. Come over, I got some candy for you. No, they're not saving anybody. There is no method that's going to help if it's breaking your vow and causing other people to do the same. It's just not going to work. If they don't, like bodhisattvas, they'll appear as people who do things that would be considered breaking one's vows, but they won't appear as being a monk. They won't appear as being someone who has taken vows. They wouldn't even let people know who they are and what they're doing. They're just doing what they do, mixing in with the crowd to get those people influenced, so in the future they no longer do these crazy things.
You told me a story, I think related to this one time, about a monk who ate a chicken or something.
I believe this was Master Jigong, but do not quote me on this. There was a monk who would eat pigeons or chickens or whatever, and one day I think his chef decided he's going to taste the chicken wing, and when the monk finished eating one of the chickens, he yelled at the monk. He says, "You ate my chicken wing." He goes, "What? You eat all these chickens all the time. What is one little wing going to do for you?" And he threw up the chicken whole, alive, and says, "No, my chicken doesn't have a wing." He's like, "What the hell?" Whether it was a chicken, a duck, or a pigeon, it was a bird, okay? And it couldn't fly. I guess chickens don't fly, so it must not have been a chicken.
It must have been a pigeon.
It could have been a penguin. No, I'm kidding. But the story is that he spit it right out. He goes, "Well, I thought you ate them." "No, you dummy. The chicken was already dead. I eat it, and it comes back to life after I spit it out. And it goes away." That was this idea of the story.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you don't have the mind to understand something, maybe you shouldn't repeat that act.
Involved. Exactly. That's a really good understanding of this. Just don't do something because you heard about it and it's good. Like, oh, I'm going to get this book on Qigong practice or internal cultivation because these people say it's great. And, well, the book says it's an instructional book, so I can learn from it and there's no harm done, no foul, right? Sure, right. And people will stick by it and say, well, I feel good, I feel this, I feel that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But they didn't get any further than that. But what's the further they should be getting? Well, I don't think they're going to be shooting fireballs out of their hands, or they're going to be charging up, screaming and screaming so hard that their body starts glowing and their hair changes. No, it doesn't work that way. It's about realization. Cultivation is not the fun, good things that happen, like the good feelings and the little abilities you get here and there. Those things are just part of the part. It's just what happens in the process. It's like going to the store and you go for a 1 mile walk to the store, if that's how far the store is. You don't have a car, and you end up losing a few pounds after a week. I mean, it's just what happens.
Mm.
And in practice, it's you really apply serious cultivation. You apply yourself seriously, sincerely. You practice consistently, okay, and you at that point you're doing it consistently. You have faith in what you're practicing. But as you actually do apply practice, you do need to set regulations for yourself. Because don't think, you're practicing or cultivating, quote unquote, cultivating the Tao. You can feel whatever you want, indulge in whatever you want because it's natural. No, that's not the natural thing. That's a conditioned thing. Consciousness.
Well, I was going to say, now some people might listen to our discourses and think, oh, they're laughing and they're goofing around. They're not serious about it. What would you say to those people?
Then we have so many people who put on the face of being serious, trying to discuss things of this specific nature, and no one has gotten anywhere so far. So, I mean, really, what's the point? You're going to be serious and just talk with a straight face and steady emotion and be like, Bueller. I mean, what's the difference? If we're joking and having a good time for ourselves, because really we're enjoying doing this, and other people find that, wait, they're seriously talking about something, and they're having a good time talking about serious stuff. Oh, we don't have to put a chain around our neck, and walk on eggshells all the time in practice. No, we don't have to do that. That's the point. You got to understand that the way you go to cultivate is exactly the way you live your life. That's exactly how it is. So our talks are straight up like this. We live our lives this isn't carefree, but we're very relaxed about things. Because there's no reason to really sit there and be anal about everything.
Well,
it's not going to help you.
The soup can be a bit bitter, I guess, so maybe we're just throwing a little bit of sugar and spice in it.
And everything nice. Have fun with what you do, but it doesn't mean you slack off. Now, if you sit there and go, okay, I'm going to meet up with Lynn at some point when he comes to New York, and I'm going to be in New York January 15th till February 15th, so... anywho, we'll meet up with Lynn and chill out and have a good time, and then all of a sudden we're chilling out, having a good time, maybe drinking some coffee, some tea, or whatever the hell we're doing, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I was meditating the other day, and this effing thing this and effing that, and blah, 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 like, but you weren't doing anything, and all of a sudden you go, oh, wait, I thought he was kind of lax and chilled out about everything. No, when it comes down to really going into how to do, and your person is talking to me about this thing, about cultivation, I'm not sitting there just with my feet up on the desk, with a cigar in my mouth going, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, see, don't worry about it. No, it's straight up. This is what you need to do. And if you're not doing it, don't even bother talking to me about it. I mean, that's the thing. When you talk to Oolong, you're not going to be sitting there going, whatever, and F this, and blah, 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 blah. And I've gotten this state and that thing and this and that. Because Oolong's going to look at you and go, okay, where's the button to end the call?
Yeah, well, I can say, having met Lynn, he's pretty dedicated. He gets up in the morning when everybody's still asleep. And, lights the incense and does his sitting practice, etc. So.
And now that I have a child, my mannerism. My wife asked me this. She goes, "You don't get up as you do anymore in the morning." I said, "We go to sleep around 12 o'clock now because the baby goes to sleep around 10:30, and then there's cleaning up the house, and then by about 11:15, 11:30, we're ready to go to sleep." He says, "Yeah, but you used to go to sleep at 1 o'clock and wake up 5:30." I was like, right, but now if I wake up 5:30, the baby's going to wake up with me, and I'll have to stop what I'm doing, go make the milk or whatever. So instead of doing that, I'll wake up at a time, probably about an hour before I go to work. And my waking up, that 20 minutes of quiet time, that's my reflection time. That's my internal, that's my personal time to go and investigate the mind while I'm brushing my teeth. But you don't sit and meditate as much as you used to. Now you do by at nighttime. You only do 20 minutes, a half hour. I was like, yeah, because I have more important things to do than just sit on my ass all night long. She looks at me going, but then how can you do anything? I say the mannerism of practice, total mannerism of practice isn't what you look like when you're practicing. It is how you do when you're doing things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there in lotus and you're thinking about baseball or whatever, versus, you can brush your teeth in a thoughtful way, and you could have more results from brushing your teeth and,
Right. Because the truth of the matter is, if you have a family at home, if you're a family of 3, and you're sitting there meditating at 6 o'clock in the morning and your child is getting up hungry and your wife is sleeping, and you're just sitting there meditating, and you hear the baby and you recognize that the baby's crying, and you don't get up because now you're sitting, you have to practice, that's irresponsible. That's not going to get you anywhere in your practice. That's disgusting, and that's going to cause darkness in the heart.
selfishness, right?
Exactly. So when that child starts crying, you get that milk ready. You get that formula ready for the baby. If it changes diapers, you change those diapers. It doesn't matter if you just sat for 45 minutes and you already plan to sit for an extra 15, or you're doing standing for whatever, how long. You're like, oh, I'm almost at the hour. This is so cool. And all of a sudden, oh, the baby's diaper needs to be changed. Like, oh, I have 5 more minutes. You just broke the concentration anyway. Get up and go take care of the kid, or go sweep the floor, because your manner of practice isn't what you look like. It isn't what you're doing. Your mind, where is that? Okay? That's why having a family and cultivating is so very easy, and it's so very difficult, because the easiness is you have to watch your mind. The difficultness is you have to watch your mind.
All right, so I guess that having been said, why don't we touch on a couple methods or expedients for people to maintain their dedication?
Well, here's, if you're single, man, woman, or a teenager, or a young kid like I was when I started practicing, very simple beginning things is to just watch your emotions, how you interact with people. Okay, when people say things that you find enjoyable, or when they say things that bring you discomfort, how do you react to these things? Watch that. Don't always open your mouth right away. Okay? Not just think before you speak, but contemplate what it is you're thinking and why it is you're thinking the things you do, where these views come from about what this person is saying and this person himself.
So, again, I would say, you don't want to just do this. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Once every 2 weeks, you probably want to try and do it, as much as possible, right? You want to try and be consistent.
Well, if you're sitting there, sitting meditation should be the most important aspect. It should be taken as the most important aspect, no matter who says what about meditation. Oh, you don't have to sit and meditate. You could sit not in full lotus. You could sit in a chair and do regular sitting meditation practice. You do standing meditation practice is so much better. No, sit, because it's painful. It's a pain in the ass. It hurts the back. It hurts the butt. It hurts the legs. It hurts the feet. It hurts the knees. Gets you frustrated. Gets you angry. Gets you bored. Makes you grit your teeth. You need that. You need that kind of temperament. No matter how well off you are in cultivation, you need it from the beginning to the end. Okay? Then everything else can be added onto it. Keep up, if you're doing sitting meditation, and you can't go longer than 5 minutes before the pain of full lotus or half lotus hurts you, then just do 5 minutes. Every week, add an extra minute. Okay? Then do it the same time every single day. No matter if you're doing it 3 times a day, no matter if your job doesn't allow you to do it, then you get up earlier. Okay? And if you have time in your 40-minute lunch break or a half-hour lunch break, you eat for 15 minutes, and the other 15 minutes you sit and meditate.
So what is the main point of doing it at the same time every day?
The point is that you build up strength. 1, you build up character. 2, you build up merit in what you do, and you build up virtue in what you do. Doing it at the same time every day shows you, proves you, to you, that you can do this, that this is not separate from you. Because we do the same things every day, specific times, almost every single day anyway. You get up, you think the same ideas when you get up in the morning. Oh, I don't want to get up, that damn alarm, I got to go to work today. We're thinking the same nonsense every single day when we get up. Why can't we just do this every single day?
And
My
I
father used to
guess
tell me. My father used to tell me, when I was a child, you put so much focus on the comic books. You don't even put enough focus in school. If you put that much focus in school that you do in your comic books, you would be acing everything you got. I was like, yeah, but I can pass my tests, so that's enough. And he was right. If I would have just taken that enthusiasm to school, it would have been a little different. Now I realize how to actually do that. I would like to go back into my first grade year and go all the way to my high school years and apply myself. I don't regret, but I would do it anyway. I would do that. That would be fun.
I was just thinking too, with doing it at the same time every day would help alleviate procrastination, because it's very easy that if you say, well, I'm not going to do it at 7 o'clock today. Maybe I'll do it at 9 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock comes, you say, oh, maybe I'll do it at 11 o'clock. Right? It's very easy to put it
Right.
off.
Think about having a car and you fill up the tank today, and 3 days later you got to fill up the tank again. So instead of going all the way to empty and then filling up the tank when you're running on fumes, why not fill it when you're a quarter of the tank full? You always have gas in there. You never run out. You never worry about having to run out of gas. And if you can't drive, or if you can't get gas 3 days later, don't drive. So if you can't keep up with the practice of what you're doing, it's better to just not even bother. But to actually nourish the seed, you have to practice. Nourish the seed of your enlightenment, or nourish the seed of realization. Nourish that seed. You got to practice somehow. So if you're going to set a time for yourself, then every other day I'm going to sit for a certain amount of time. Then you do it every other day. Every week, on the third day of every week, I'm going to practice. Okay, good. So you practice on the third day of every week, and you make that strong. And so you go, I want to do it every second. I want to do it 2 extra days in the week, or an extra day in the week. So I'm going to do every week twice, or 3 times throughout the week, 4 times. And then eventually you'll be doing it 7 days a week. Don't push yourself so fast. Give yourself a little bit of leeway in the beginning to start up. And then you can build your practice that way. It's strengthening. You need to do that. If you're bodybuilding, you go 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. You don't go 1 day on, 5 days off.
Yeah, and again, people should be careful not to try too hard, because I can't remember where I heard the story, but essentially the story was a student asked his master how long it would take to master his art, and he said, if you practice 2 hours every day, it'll take you 10 years. And he said, well, what if I practice 4 hours every day? And he said, it'll take you 20 years. I just love that story, because like he's too focused on the goal instead of on being focused on the journey.
Right. A lot of people, they go, oh, yoga is too hard because, you got to get into these postures and I can't really bend that far. And I tell them it's not about getting into the posture. It's about going through the process of getting to that posture. Controlling your breath, controlling your mind, controlling your frustrations, your emotions, your thoughts. All these things are important to go through and temper and strengthen and alleviate the stresses in your mind. Eventually, you'll get to the posture. Whatever. You can be a yoga teacher and you can't even get into a triangle pose. Okay? Because you have the core of the teaching is there. The quality of the person has been developed through the practice itself. It's not that you're thin and you can, do a crow posture, or you can do the, whatever other postures in there, no problem. No. When I was teaching yoga at NYU many, many moons ago, I wasn't really thin. I had a little belly. And my yoga consisted of basic postures and then just some qigong practices. Some people couldn't handle the intense qigong practice I was giving them. They just like to swim through the poses. And a lot of the heavy poses I couldn't do. But I just did what I was able to do and showed how to get to it. Some people stuck with it and was able to get into the posture fully better than I could. But the fact was that they developed the ability to do that, and that I had the understanding on how to get into that way by controlling the mind, by understanding that kind of development. So you see, the substance is very important there. That's why consistency, practice, sincerity in what you do means wanting to do it, going to get it done. This is all very important for any type of practice we do in cultivation.
Or any practice in life.
Oh, exactly. Don't procrastinate, Don't put off what you can do today, that kind of saying?
Yeah. All right. I'm kind of hypocritical because I'm the king of procrastination myself. But on that note, why don't we end it for today, Len?
We're good. Okay,
All right.
excellent.
So thanks everybody for listening to Expedient Means of Len Away and Time Monk Radio. Please be sure to join us next week as we discuss the Shurangama Sutras chapter on the 50 demon states. That'll be a fun one.
That is going to be great. It's going to be an ongoing commentary, ongoing discussion on the commentary by Master Xuan Hua on the 50 skandha demon states of the Shurangama Sutra. So every show we're going to have about 2 or 3 of those states that we're going to be discussing. It's going to be really good. And if anyone's around in New York, while I'm out there January 15th to February 15th, give me an email. GUIZHENHUI at yeah.net. YEAH.net.
Okay, and I'll give her a closing quote here. In the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not through strength, but through persistence. And that was said by George W. Bush.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. That was said by Sakyamuni Buddha.
that was a curveball. You got me. He got me, everyone. He got me on this one. Wow.
All right, take care, Len.
Thank you. Bye-bye.